Chris Mays, the Attorney General for the state of Arizona, has filed a lawsuit to get Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva sworn into office. Grijalva was elected to Arizona's 7th District nearly 1 month ago, filling the same seat that had been held by her father, who died in March.
But with the government in an ongoing shutdown, House Speaker Mike Johnson's refused to officially seat Grijalva. The newly filed lawsuit asks a federal judge in Washington, D.C. to declare Grijalva a member of the House and allow someone else to administer her oath of office if Johnson won't do it. The lawsuit reads, "This case is about whether someone duly elected to the House who indisputably meets the constitutional qualifications of the office may be denied her rightful office simply because the speakers decided to keep the House out of, quote, regular session." It continues, Speaker Johnson wishes to delay seating Ms. Grijalva to prevent her from signing a discharge petition that would force a vote on the release of the Epstein files and or to strengthen his hand in the ongoing budget and appropriations negotiations.
Grijalva has promised to sign a petition that would indeed force a vote in the House to facilitate the release of the Jeffrey Epstein case files. There need to be 218 signatures to force that vote, and Grijalva would be number 218.
Johnson has repeatedly said that his decision not to swear in Grijalva has nothing to do with the Epstein files. Rather, he says it's just House tradition to only swear in new members during regular sessions. When asked about the lawsuit on Tuesday, he told reporters this, "I think it's patently absurd. We run the House. She has no jurisdiction. We're following the precedent. She's looking for national publicity, and apparently she's gotten some of it. But good luck with that."
With the government shutdown now at day 22, Johnson has said he'll call the House back to session and administer Grijalva's oath once Democrats help to reopen the government. But other lawmakers have joined the calls demanding that Grijalva be sworn in immediately. Arizona Senator Mark Kelly writes, "Representative-elect Grijalva is still waiting to be sworn in. My office has been hearing from more folks in her district, and we're doing everything we can to help. But it's past time they got the representation they deserve. Swear her in." And Maryland Congressman Jamie Raskin writes, "Enough is enough. Adelita Grijalva was elected on September 23rd. The people of Arizona have a right to be represented in Congress."
Well, Niall, on this one, I don't have particularly strongly held views. Obviously, she has been elected, and so she should be able to join the House. I don't know whether it is tradition that you wait till a regular session, but if they're not having regular sessions, should that stand in the way of her being seated? I guess I would probably say no. I don't want her just being used as a bargaining chip if that's really what it is. And I support the vote she plans to take to release more information about Jeffrey Epstein, even though I don't think it will satisfy anyone. As I've said many times, I still favor doing it. At the same time, I don't know whether she has any standing to sue over the House gets to come up with their own procedures, basically. So I don't know that this is, but I just don't know. And I don't have strong feelings. And obviously Arizona's entitled to representation. So she should certainly within the fullness of time, sooner rather than later, be able to participate in the House. That seems basic to me.
Yeah, I think that final point is the most important one on principle. The people who elected her are entitled to have a representative in Congress. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody has to necessarily be sworn in, 1 hour or 6 hours after they win an election. But coming up to 1 month, that seems an excessive period of time to leave those voters without the representative whom they elected. So that's the basic principle. I do think on the politics, it does come back to the Epstein matter. I think there is widespread suspicion that Johnson's reluctance isn't to do with the arcane issues of whether it's a regular session or isn't a regular session, but in trying to deprive the people trying to get that petition together of the final decisive vote that would bring them over the line. As a political matter, I don't even think that that's very wise on Mike Johnson's part, because it seems to me that the controversy that is created by not swearing her in actually fuels people's suspicion about the whole thing. Whereas if she's going to vote for it and thereby bring the thing across the finish line, well, she's going to do that sooner or later, so you might as well get it out of the way.
They can't prevent this forever, which is why I find that as an explanation maybe not adequate because for that
it's going to happen.
For that reason. Maybe it's more. I think it's probably more about strengthening the shutdown hand, saying if Democrats give ground, we'll get her sworn in.
Yeah.
Seems more likely to me because this is going to happen unless Trump just said to Mike Johnson, "Hey, I don't want this vote being taken for as long as possible." So that's your directive.
Which is also
vote for as long as possible.
Which is also possible.
Right, because the speaker is pretty good at giving Trump what he wants.
Absolutely.
He has managed to hold on to that job and is not at risk of losing it because he has such a strong relationship with Trump, basically just with Republican leadership in general.
Right, but particularly with Trump, I think.
Yeah, he's wrangled all the wild animals.
No, he has. He has been able to keep his party in line and be able to silence dissent, partly because he is, I think, seen as doing Trump's bidding. Whether that is good in the broader scheme of things is a whole...
is an agreeable manner for Republicans.
Yeah, maybe for Republicans. I mean, I don't think anyone who filled that role would meet with Democratic or Liberal approval.
No.
And, it is interesting the way people's sort of personal demeanour, I think, like the kind of people I think Liberals and Conservatives like are often very different. And Mike Johnson, who, is just, I think, temperamentally conservative as well as ideologically conservative. Anyway, that's neither here nor there when it comes to Grijalva, who is entitled to hold or take the seat to which she was elected, and the voters who elected her are entitled to have her there.
It goes to show the kind of different news stories that flourish in right versus liberal media. I confess I knew very little about this even from the news sources that I consume. Obviously, the Hill is a more talks to both sides.
Right.
But in just the kind of conservative, or if I'm watching Fox, it's just not. This has not been something that was discussed. I'm like, what's going on? Why is this person not been seated?
Right.
Whereas I'm sure in more liberal coverage,
yes. I was well aware of it. Don't worry. No, it's true. I mean, it is true that I think people's media ecosystems have become very much separated out, and sometimes, there are people I would say, particularly on the online right, who I'm sort of vaguely aware exist but are big figures in that world. Similarly, I can't remember who it was that we either quoted or had on here who was of a more liberal disposition, and I saw some of our audience being like, who is it? I've never heard of that person, and it's someone who I think virtually any politically alert liberal has heard of frequently. So there is a sort of media separation of a kind going on there.
We're worlds apart.
We are.
Bridging the gap here on Rising.
That's what we do. Trump's planned meeting with Vladimir Putin, meanwhile, has been called off. We'll talk about what that means for ceasefire talks between Russia and Ukraine. Don't go anywhere.